Fans, one of the biggest icons in the recent history of the franchise has just opened up about when he will hang up his cleats, and this has a direct impact on the future of the offensive line. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the roster, a newcomer is already emerging as a likely surprise cut in training camp, even though he arrived only a few months ago. Between the end of an era and uncertainty about the future, the Eagles' quarterback room and offensive line are entering a quiet transition phase. Welcome! Show your support for the Eagles by reaching 100 likes on today's video. The name-making headlines behind the scenes at Eagles training camp is Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a newly acquired quarterback from a trade with the Browns who is already appearing as the leading candidate to be cut in the coming weeks. And this is not just isolated speculation. Several roster projections already have him outside the final group of 53 players, even with little time on the team. DTR, as he is known, reveals a common problem among teams with established quarterbacks, an excess of options at the bottom of the depth chart, where ultimately a promising talent often finds no space. Jalen Hurts is solid and untouchable. From there, the dilemma arises. Which of the other three deserves the backup spots? Currently, the competition has strong names. Tanner McKee, a sixth-round pick in 2023, has gained the coaching staff's backing and is projected as the QB2. Kyle McCord, a rookie from Syracuse, was also drafted in the 6th round but arrives with high expectations due to his impressive NCAA numbers. This pushes DTR to the edge of oblivion. And according to Ryan O'Leary of Sporting News, he is expected to be the odd man out. It's a bitter twist for Thompson-Robinson. The quarterback was acquired as part of the move that sent Kenny Pickett to the Browns, generating expectations that he would have a real chance to compete. But in Philadelphia, the development policy has been clear. Invest in high-upside youth or in QBs already adapted to the system. DTR, with his ups and downs in Cleveland, seems to fit neither category. The problem for him is that even if he performs well in training camp, the numbers game weighs more than individual performance. It would be a difficult luxury to keep 4 quarterbacks on the active roster, especially when it comes to a player who was not drafted by the franchise and who still lacks established chemistry with the offense. Some argue that DTR could still fight for a spot on the practice squad. However, this opens up another risk. If he is cut and released, any other team can claim him, and it wouldn't be surprising if there were interest. Thompson-Robinson still has physical upside, good legs, a strong arm, and real game experience in the NFL, something McCord and McKee do not have yet. This situation reignites a recurring discussion in modern NFL. Is it better to patiently develop a young player you chose, or to bet on someone who has already shown flashes on the field, even if they come from outside? The Eagles seem to lean toward the homegrown side, and this could make DTR pay the price for being merely a trade chip. Be that as it may, training camp will define his future. The problem is that with few snaps available and clear priorities from the coaching staff, he may not have enough time to convince them. And for a player who has had to prove his worth at every stage of his career, this could be yet another chapter of overcoming challenges or a premature interruption. As Dorian tries to survive in the shadow of Jalen Hurts, another iconic player from the franchise is nearing the last chapter of his legacy career, but in a very different way, with an intact legacy, unanimous respect, and control over his decision. Lane Johnson may be playing his last season in the NFL, and if it were up to him, he would leave the way he entered, as one of the most respected players in the league. In an interview with Good Morning Football, the 35-year-old veteran openly discussed his future, the weight of time, and the pleasure he still feels in competing at the highest level. "I still feel young inside, but you can't ignore Father Time," he said in a rare moment of public reflection. Johnson is entering his 13th year with the Eagles. In that time, he has built a career that places him among the greatest offensive tackles in the franchise's history. He has 6 Pro Bowl appearances, 3 All-Pro selections, a Super Bowl title, and, more recently, a new contract extension that ensures his stay at least until the end of 2026. But the tone of the conversation was clear. He is already beginning to prepare emotionally for farewell. The most symbolic? The reference to Brandon Graham, who is also about to complete 15 years with the team. Johnson joked that if he were to retire tied with Graham, that wouldn't be too bad. And this kind of comment, coming from someone so competitive, indicates that the countdown is indeed underway. Despite his age, Lane Johnson is still playing at an incredibly high level. In 2024, he was again named All-Pro, part of an offensive line that led the Eagles to Super Bowl L59. His performance remains impeccable, particularly in pass protection. The veteran has not yielded a sack in the last 2 full seasons, a nearly unbelievable feat for someone with so many years in the trenches. But Johnson's importance goes beyond the field. He is the emotional anchor of the offensive line. He sets the tone in the locker room. He is a natural leader, a mentor to the younger players, and a model of consistency. His eventual departure will create a void that no player, no matter how good, will be able to fill immediately. That's why the term to plan for succession is now. Jordan Mailata is already a reality on the other side of the line, and Cam Jurgens is being groomed inside. But replacing a player of Lane Johnson's caliber requires more than skill. It demands presence, tactical awareness, and emotional balance. These are traits that cannot be taught in a training camp. The Eagles' front office seems aware of this. The contract renewal at the beginning of the year was a way to show respect and to maintain short-term stability. But it is also a sign that the transition planning is underway. Young players are being prepared, and the offensive line, which has traditionally been one of the franchise's strong points, should continue to be a priority in upcoming drafts. For fans, Johnson's remarks evoke a mix of nostalgia and gratitude. He is part of the recent identity of the Eagles. He was there in battles against Tom Brady, in bloody divisional clashes against the Cowboys and Giants, and in victories that have established Philadelphia as a powerhouse in recent years. If the team really wants to send him off on top, as he himself said, the time is now. And there's plenty of motivation. With Jalen Hurts at his peak, an aggressive defense, and a versatile offense, the Eagles have the roster for another title run. Johnson knows this, and if this is indeed the last flight, he wants it to be epic. On one side, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is already tasting the instability of the NFL, even after a recent trade. On the other, Lane Johnson is gracefully writing the last paragraphs of a brilliant career, surrounded by respect, historical projection, and control over his decision. The Eagles are living 2 extremes: the rotation that changes every year and the solid foundation that has sustained a winning culture for over a decade. And to keep winning, the franchise will need to balance this transition well. And you, Eagles fan, does DTR deserve a chance to stay, or is cutting him the right path? And Lane Johnson, what was the most memorable moment of jersey number 65 that you will never forget? Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more sharp analysis straight from Philadelphia.